So we're going to have a little bit of a different practice today. As always, I don't like to keep the things the same. I've been pondering kind of a question, and I invite you to ponder it yourself. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But the question that I always ask, well, I shouldn't say always, but I've been asking, is how do we maintain or establish homeostasis? And I think homeostasis can mean so many things. It's such a big word, but it means so many things. So homeostasis is the state of balance, right? So there's like this balance of our body when we can balance in postures. There's also this internal working that's always balancing between, acid and alkaline and, what comes in must come out. So there's always this gentle balance and act, which we call homeostasis. But we can also think of it as in our emotions and our mental state, our spiritual state. Like I always think about like, what am I looking more for and what can I get rid of so that I feel like in this state of balance? So I invite you to ponder that question for yourself if you like. We'll be kind of using that as a theme for the practice. It's how we're going to balance a little bit. So it's going to be really about listening to your intuition, I think. A lot of that is important, I think. So we're going to just start on the mat as usual in any comfortable seat. And I mean that, right? If you want to lay on your back or if you want to sit in any kind of position that makes it comfortable. So we'll be there for a few moments and then we're going to go into sort of a centering practice and make our way towards that homeostasis is what I'm aiming for anyway. So hope you can achieve the same thing. All right, I'll see you there. So I have a couple of pillows. I think today I'm only going to use one. That seems to want to work for me today. And then, of course, you can figure out what you want to use to make yourself feel comfortable. There we go. So finding that seat. And as you find your seat, be sure that you do whatever you can to feel safe in your environment. I know that saying sounds a little weird, maybe. I'm weird, so I invite you to be weird with me. So finding your environment, just scanning your environment, maybe look at something that really is beautiful. It just makes you feel like, I'm here, I'm okay. The safe room, that's really important, I think. Getting that sense of safety. So that's orienting to your space. And now we'll go ahead and get into the centering. So as you sit, lay, whatever position you're in, if it's available to you, if you can or would like to, bring your hands together in front of your heart in sort of a prayer position, if that's what you want to call it. And when you look down at your hands, see if you can create a little space between the hands so they're not flat touching. It's very rigid if you're pressing into the hand. Maybe having just a little space. So the bottom of the palms touching maybe, and then the fingertips touching. And as we looked between the space between the hands, it almost looks like it's a flower. You can imagine that if you like. Sort of this resting flower in front of you at your heart center. So the flower hasn't quite opened yet, but this is sitting right at your heart center. And that's all your potential of what your heart can become. It's just taking a few moments just to center yourself right there. And then I invite you to close your eyes or even just keep gazing softly at your flower, at your prayer hand or Anjali Mudra placements. And softening the shoulders, relaxing the face. And centering is a nice way to travel a little bit more inside the body. and away from the external world. So you've found the orienting safe space. Now you can close your eyes and find the safety within inside your body. Taking a couple nice easy breaths here. There's a gentle balance, a homeostasis from the internal to the external. So we have a relationship between the two. And we're trying to find that nice, healthy relationship that works together. And this is a nice time that I think for myself, you can do this too, if you like, is to set an intention. And then maybe we can prompt with some questions such as, what is it that I want to change? Towards homeostasis. How can I change anything that's going on in my life, in my body, in my mind? Find that balance where it feels comfortable. Not too much, not too little. The intention may be just that I want to find balance. Maybe you want to find a little bit more ease or even a little bit more energy. It's all up to you. Just taking a few moments there and pausing a little bit longer to give you that time that you deserve to find the right intention for your practice. And you can slowly release and place one hand on the heart, other hand on top, and honoring that heart center. It's where your flower is, where your love is, and everything that goes on from your heart out to the body. Let's take a moment to send some gratitude to that space. And keeping the right hand on your chest, left hand on the belly. If that doesn't work for you, you can always put your hands down. You know that. Just going to cultivate this balanced breath. The balanced breath is inhaling and exhaling equally. So trying to find a balance on an inhale and an exhale. I like to do counts, so inhaling for 4, pausing at the top, and exhale for 4. Inhale for 4, pausing, and exhale for 4. Continue on your own, or you can breathe it any way you like, just for a few more moments. And then you can return back to your natural breath and placing your hand down onto your thighs, knees alongside your body, wherever you are in whatever position. Let's do a quick little scan of the body. You can check out the muscles around your eyes. I tend to gravitate my attention to between my eyes to soften the space between it because I'm such a thinker. So soften that so I can tap out of the thinking mind and just really resonate with the body, softening the muscles around the eyes, down the cheeks to the jaw, down your throat, even the back of your neck, down the shoulders, softening in any way. If you find that you want to make little movements along the way, please do. That's your body telling you something. Softening the arms down to the hands and the fingers. getting this sense of softening, not getting limp, but softening, releasing tension in the chest, down to the belly, down to the hips, and down to the legs and feet. Softening your back in a way that you feel that you're upright, but you're not rigid, but you're not slumping. Find that balance that works for you where you don't feel like it hurts. Now, if you're on the floor, you could do the same thing, soften into the floor. Make some circles in the neck very slowly so you can find that pace that works for you. Now, you can always open your eyes if you feel like it's creating dizziness. And then you can make bigger circles when your body becomes aware of what you're doing and releases. But try not to make too much of a circle that you're going to cause more tension. Make the circle smaller again. Come back to center to balance, and then go into the other direction. Very slow movements. So mindful movements is just telling you to be present what's going on and work with it by not working against it, which causes kind of, tension. Make bigger circles. And then start to narrow the circles a little bit. So you come back to center. And when you get to center, if you had your eyes closed, either soften your gaze, look down at the floor, or you can close your eyes. Just get a sense of that balancing that's happening right in the center of your face. And then drop down to your chest area. So remembering that center line down to the chest. And from the chest, you can find if there's a balance between your shoulders. Maybe you need to move your shoulders up and down, create a little bit of movement to release some tension, and then gravitate back to center whenever you're ready. See if you can find some sort of balance, whether it's physically or energetically. That's you. And then coming into the belly. Engaging just a little bit, but not so much that you feel like you're holding your breath. Just enough to hold kind of the center in. And then going down to your legs and just noticing one side to the other. Finding that center. Awesome. And you can slowly open your eyes and left hand down to the floor. And feel the floor first. Really have that grounding in, and then take the right arm up towards the ceiling if you like. You can keep it nice and soft, or you can really reach up. So how does your body want you to move today? And then start to pulsate if you like. Paying attention not only to the side body, but the back. You feel like you're crunching into the back out of it a little bit so that you're not doing too much, but you're doing a little bit of something. Coming back to center, right to the other side, right hand down, left hand up. So finding the position first and then going in any movements that your body is telling you. That's that intuition that guides you towards balance. Not too much, not too little. Coming back to center, arms up to a T position, twisting to one side. Come back to center and twist to the other side. So keeping those arms up if you like. Just going back and forth, just waking up the core a little bit. If you do have the arms up, maybe you're finding a sense of balance with your arms. You just do this a few times, breathing. If you've been laying down, and perhaps you're up and doing this now. And then back to center. And then soften into the pose again. Find the balance for the front of the body, the back of the body, the sides of the body. And just let it settle. This is that pause that lets everything absorb. Energy moves, then we slow down and let it settle. If you are laying down, I invite you to sit up. We're going to do alternating nasal breathing, or nostril breathing. And I like to do this because it helps balance one side to the other, but also the brain to the body. And taking your right hand or left hand, your dominant hand, you can either take the thumb and the first finger and just use it on each nostril. Doesn't matter. I tend to use my middle finger and thumb. Do whatever you want. Just taking one hand, just know that you're going to be blocking one side, breathing in the other, and then doing the opposite. So I like to close my eyes on this. You don't have to. Let's go ahead and block the right nostril any way you want and inhale the left. And then pause, block the left nostril, and exhale through the right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. Pause and hold it. Block your right nostril. Exhale out through the left. Inhale through the left. Pause. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the left. A few more rounds. Inhale through the left nostril. And exhale through the right nostril. Inhale through the right. Pausing. Exhale through the left. One more time. Inhale through the left. Pause. Exhale to the right. And then inhale through the right. And exhale through both nostrils. And then pausing and noticing any sensations that happen within the body. So remember, we like to try to drop from the mind into the body. What are the sensations? Are you getting any tingling? Anything that's going on in the body? Placing the hands back into prayer at heart center. Slowly opening your eyes and looking at your flower. And perhaps opening up your arms, up your hands to create this opening. So now we're going to start to opening up our body, bringing the arms up towards the ceiling. And exhale, bring them back down. Inhale, opening up the arms towards the ceiling. They can be straight, bent. Just find how you want to open your flower. It's up to you. And exhale, bring the arms back down. Just a couple more times. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. And exhale down. Okay, so we're going to shift on the long side of our mat. I'm going to take my pillow from underneath me. Okay, bend our knees in front of us. You can take your hands behind you. Just try to find a little balance on your sit bones. So I like to try to rock back and forth because it can be uncomfortable trying to find this spot. We're going to get into boat pose, which is a balancing pose. But sometimes we have to find our ground first before we can go into. So shifting back and forth and just getting to know your butt. Sometimes it's like more towards the sacrum, maybe between the sit bones and the sacrum. There's that kind of area. You feel pretty grounded. You can lift one leg and then the other and see if that's enough of a balance. Activating the belly and then placing the feet down. So we'll do this a few times. Everything is always an experiment, finding out what works for us. So I'm going to shift back a little bit more towards my sacrum to lift both knees, both feet, and perhaps lift my hands to see if I can really balance here. And then set everything down. Now the option to take your time so that you can get into a balance that works for you is do one leg at a time. Lift maybe one hand, then the other. You start to fall out of it, you put something down, holding everything up to really create that strength of holding a body in a balanced pose. And then you come out of it to go to the other direction. So strength to relaxation, stretching to tightening. We're always trying to balance something. So again, finding your little seat spot, taking one leg up at a time. Don't stress about it. You're just trying to create a little bit of work here, but nothing too much. Finding a way that you can hold your legs up a little, maybe one hand at a time off the floor, and feel how you're just finding this nice balance that works for you, and then set everything down. Take a couple long deep breaths. I'm going to do that 2 more times. If you do not want to do that, you can just get on your back and roll around. One leg at a time comes up. One hand at a time comes up. And then set them down. So one more time. Lifting whatever works. Some people can straighten their legs, straighten the arms, but you know what? If that's where you want to go today, all the power to you, it's yours. But just finding the right place where you're like, this is where I am. And then release. So go ahead and grab a block pillow and bring it beside you to make sure that you have something to use as a prompt coming up soon. First thing I'd like to do is just to lay on the back with the knees bent, settle onto your back, and relax your shoulders. Now I have my knees bent away from each other. You can put your knees together. You can separate your knees. Whatever's comfortable. Bringing our awareness to the lower back, see if you can soften it so that it can gravitate towards the floor. Maybe shift your shoulders a little bit so that you can flatten your shoulder blades to open up the front of the body. So we're finding balance everywhere in our body. And just take a couple breaths here, just feeling the floor behind you, underneath you. You can always close your eyes. And then slowly bring the knees into the chest and just give them a little bit of a squeeze. A little bit of a squeeze and rock side to side. You've done this a few times. You know what works for you. And then placing the feet back down. arms out to a T. Using your block or pillow, you can drop both knees to the left and set them on the block or pillow or towards the floor. Just a gentle reclining twist. So once you get into the position, do anything to make yourself comfortable so that you can let go. So letting go of the body releases tension and everything will stretch on its own. We do not want to force it. A gentle balance here. A gentle balance of getting into the pose through recognizing your tension and then softening into it. And it will find its middle ground, your comfort spot. And then slowly come back to center. And then go to the other side. So taking your prompt to the other side, dropping both knees to the right, opening up those arms, finding your position, and then settling in. You'll notice maybe a shift of some sort, maybe even a release. Just go with it until you feel comfortable. Something doesn't feel comfortable, do whatever you can to make it comfortable. You have your prompts. Softening the face again. Let your breath be nice and natural. And then coming back to center. We're going to do legs up the wall here. So whatever prompt you like to use. Some people like to use a pillow, a block. We're going to lift our hips and place that item underneath our sacrum. Bringing the knees into our chest first so we can adjust our little prompt. And then extend the legs up to the ceiling. And once you get into legs up the wall, you have choices. You can just hang out. You can take a hand on the heart, a hand on the belly. You can take your arms alongside your body. Wiggle the toes, rotate the ankles in any way that it feels nice. Keeping in mind the balancing. Whatever you do in one direction, balance with the opposite direction. Whatever you do on one side, we do on the other. You can even shake the legs. Just a few more moments here. We don't have a goal, so we don't need to rush to anything. We're just going to enjoy the moment, feel the sensation in the body, finding what we can balance out. Homeostasis. That's what we're aiming for. You could always bicycle the legs as you come out of the pose. Whenever you want, you can bring your feet back down to the floor. And you can keep your prompt right where it is. We're just going to do a couple bridge poses. Taking the arms alongside your body. On your next inhale, you can lift the hips towards the ceiling. And then slowly set it down. So we're going to be doing a little bit of balancing in bridge pose. So be sure that you feel comfortable with your back to the floor, the hands to the floor. That's your base. Pushing into your feet to lift your hips. Push into the left foot to really ground into the ground and see if you can lift your right foot. So you're balancing here. And then set the right foot down. Find the grounding in your right foot and lift the left foot. Push into the hands if you need to, and set the foot down and lower the hips. So we'll do that a few times so that you can find your groove. So I'm pressing in my hands and even my upper back as I lift my hips, pushing in both feet. I feel secure and stable. And now we're going to challenge it by lifting our right foot slowly and find the balance. And then slowly set it down. Lifting the left foot now, just hovering it over the floor, or you can lift it really high and set it down and lower your hips. So we're balancing. One leg gets strong, the other side lifts, and then we do the opposite side. Let's do that one more time. Pressing into your hands and your feet to lift your hips first. Find how far you want to go. Lifting the right foot whenever you're ready. See if you can keep those hips high. And then set the foot down. And then the other side, left foot up. You're feeling your grounding. Lower the foot, lower the hips. Beautiful. And lifting the hips to remove your prompt, your block or your pillow. And my knee back into your chest to counteract that pose. So we did a back bend, and now we're curling our lower back down, so the opposite direction. So that balances out a little bit. Rock side to side. Okay. Now we're going to set our feet back down. You can keep your knees bent. If you need to find something that's going to be a little bit more comfortable, maybe putting a pillow under your head, whatever, place your hands wherever you're comfortable. Get as comfortable as you can. We're just going to do a little bit of a visualization to kind of drive balance home. So go ahead and close your eyes or gaze something up at the ceiling. Now, when I do visualizations, any kind of metaphors or analogies or themes, I invite you to try to do it in the present moment, which means that you're anchored in the now and you're curious. Sometimes things will trigger us, and that's just a memory of a past. So try to stay in the moment and just get curious. Please, if you like. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just going to I'm going to invite you to think about this visualization. Okay. So imagine that you are going out on a very perfect day. It's warm, sun is going down, and you're walking towards a very safe forest. And you see just a little bit of a spark somewhere, and you're curious about walking to that spark. As you start to walk towards that spark, you notice that it's a little campfire. And as you get closer, you start to notice that your best friend's there, your best relation person, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, maybe your dog or cat's there. Everybody's just chilling by the campfire. And as you get closer to the campfire, you start to feel the heat of it, but now the sun's going down and it's starting to get cooler around you. So you feel the air. And you happen to gaze up at the sky and notice that you're starting to see stars. And the closer you get to your fire, you find a log. And it's a log that's perfect for you. As you sit, it's comfortable. Your friends are talking, your family's talking, your cat's purring, your dog's just waggling his tail, whatever. Everybody's happy and by this fire, this campfire. Now we're in the present, feeling it. And as you sit at this fire, you notice that you start to get just a little too warm because you're too close. So you decide to push the log back a little bit. And then you start to notice that it gets too cold. So you push yourself forward. And then you find your comfort zone. And as you sit by this fire in your comfort zone, in your body, you gaze at the fire at the colors, orange, yellow, white, whatever you imagine your fire to be. You hear the conversations, people are talking stories, people are sharing ideas, there's laughter. And then you go into this daydreaming in the fire. It becomes your reality now. And because you feel so good, you feel your inner fire. Now, the inner fire inside you is starting to glow. It's starting to get bigger. But then there's always this time where we have to say, the fire needs to contain to a point where it doesn't go too far. We don't want to burn the fire, the woods, the forest. We want to contain it. So we want to keep the fire going inside, but contain it at the same time. So this beautiful fire, this nice fire inside, your friends, the daydreaming, the stars, the warm, the cool air, the warm air. There's this balancing going on all the time. Take a couple long deep breaths here. Engulf that beauty of being in a comfort zone. Taking your hands alongside your body again. Your knees are bent. Go ahead and lift your hips towards the sky. Find the grounding of your hands and your back and your feet as you lift your hips. Stay with your inner fire and lift just your right foot and set it down. Lift your left foot and set it down and lower the hips. And again, lift your hips. Maybe you want to explore more now. So lifting your right foot, maybe extending the leg. Bend the knee, place the foot down. Lift the left foot, extend the leg. Bend the knee, set it down, and then lower the hips. Ah, awesome. And then knees back into the chest, hug them close. Hug that inner fire. You're containing it, but it's glowing. Rock side to side. And place the feet back down. Right arm overhead, roll onto your right side. The left side, doesn't matter. We're going to come on to hands and knees. So we find the balance even here on our hands and knees. So how can we find balance on our hands and knees? You're not doing too much on the knees or too much on the hands. You're finding this equalness between your knees and your hands. You find your grounding and you drop the belly to look forward into your cow position. And then rounding the back into your cat position and dropping the head. So just moving forward and back, finding the balance between the front of your body and the back of your body. All right, and we'll come back to center. So we'll do extended table here. We know what that is. Again, that requires balancing, right? So explore that. Find the ground first. And lifting your left leg or left knee and extending it back behind you. And remember, we're trying to keep the balance of our hips to the floor. So we have the back leg straight, and then slowly start to extend the right arm. Now, take your time doing it so that you can maintain your balance. Don't go too far, and then don't do too little. And coming back down. Other side, right leg, left arm. Holding as long as you need to create as much fire as you want in your belly. When you start to shake, that's too much, and then you come out of it, contain it. Left leg, right arm. And then release. And then the other side. Right leg, left arm, hold it as long as you want to feel that fire. And then when you've had enough, you just bring it down to contain it. All right, 2 more times on each side. So you know what to do. I'm going to be quiet so you can do it. Your pace is going to be different than mine, and that's okay. Whenever you finish your rounds, go back into a child's pose. Now, we talked about child's pose last week. There are different versions of it. You can just shift back a little bit. You can sit on a block if you want to between your feet. Stretch out the lower back, settle into the pose, close your eyes. Maybe you want to move a little bit in your child's pose. Maybe it's not feeling right to be stagnant. Maybe you need to move. And then coming up again to hands and knees. Removing your block if you're using it. And I'm going to go into a downward dog, but you can go to standing if you do not resonate with downward dog. You know that that's always okay. So if anybody else wants to join me in the downward dog, cool. And once you get there, you can always pedal your feet and then walking your feet towards your hands towards your feet. And if you're standing, you can fold over your legs. And let's go into ragdoll. So dropping, I don't like saying dropping, but guiding your chest down towards your legs to find how much you want to go. Relaxing the head, relaxing the hands and the arms, sway side to side. Shaking your head in any direction. Hands onto the opposite elbow just gives it more weight if you want that. And then placing your hands onto your shins and create a flat back, straight legs, straight arms to a halfway lift. And then fold over your legs again and shake it out. Arms out to a T. Come up with a flat back. All the way up the standing. Now take your time because you're shifting from floor up. So you need to let things gravitate and then bring the arms up whenever you like. And exhale, release. Okay, so we're going to do our swings and then we're going to do a sort of my signature movement, but I'll show you what that is. So go ahead and separate your feet and swing those arms as you pick the other foot. And just let it be the speed, the depth of whatever you want to do. All right. And then slow it down. Okay, and then shake anything out you like. I was just going to do this little funky thing. This is not typical for yoga, but it always ends up in my classes. So I'm just going to introduce it to you. So I'd like you to take your hands, if you like, up towards your head, right on the outside of your head. Now, this is going to be another visualization, but it's also a movement practice. Your hands are alongside your head. This is where you do all your thinking, right? So bringing the hands slowly down to the sides of your bodies. It's an invitation to drop out of your head and into your body. Once you get into your body, embrace what you have. So crossing your arms over you. So you embrace what you have in your body. And then from here, you start to do any kind of movements that work. So going side to side, maybe bend the knees, let go of the arms, let them go in any direction you want. Maybe you're feeling a shift. Maybe you're going backwards. Just let yourself move organically. You'll feel it. There's this sort of weird and good organic feeling that happens. Your body just wants to move. Let your arms go. Let your legs bend if you want. Maybe you shift, maybe you release something, and then you slowly start to bring your arms up your body and back to the head, up to the sky for insight. Okay, so that's the dance. That's it. Drop out of the head and into the body. Feel the movements that your body wants to feel. Come back up and get your insight. What shifted? What released? That's it. So that's the fun part of it is it can be yours. Maybe you just don't want to do some of that. You don't have to. But it's a way to remind me is that sometimes I have to remind myself to get out of my head and into the body that wants to move. We don't move enough, right? So the more movement we can do that tells that organic feeling, the more we're going to find what needs to move. You release something, you shift something, and then you gather it up for insight. Something shifted. And as you pause, you'll notice that the body is more contained because you're moving things that need to loosen and you're getting away from tightness, like a little snake or a little whatever. I don't know. Maybe you're doing some funky thing. I can't see all of you, but remember that. Thinking too much about movement versus feeling how to move. It's really what that dance is about. I call it the logo dance, but dropping out of the head, reminding yourself that you have a body, contain it, meaning you accept it completely the way you are. Doesn't matter what shape you are, doesn't matter what age you are able to move in a way that your body will allow you to move. But then you challenge it a little bit by moving in a way that you're like, oh, I haven't moved like that since I was a kid. And then you come up and you have insight over it. So do that a few times on your own and find your groove. Find your groove, right? I don't want to be stagnant today. I want to move. And then come back up and pause and absorb it. Your body will thank you. Crazy stuff, but I love it. Let's go ahead and do a traditional yoga pose. Separate your feet wide. We're going to be here for one pose because we get it back out on the floor. Right foot straight, back foot in an angle, bend into your front knee, into warrior two. Once we get into warrior two, it's a strong pose, very contained. Nothing is moving. It's just strong. That's maybe what you need. Maybe movement irritates you. It happens. But we can't be here too long because then we'd be stiff, right? So let's drop the back arm down, front arm up. to create just a little bit of movement. Coming back up, front forearm onto the thigh. Maybe you have your block, you can put it on. And bring the back arm wherever you want it. Coming back up, straightening the front leg, back hand down, front hand up, little movements. And then coming back up, shift forwards. You can go into your triangle pose, dropping the fingers down, top arm up if you want to open it up. So this allows you to twist your body. Now, again, it's containment. So it's a strength base as well as stretching. Bend into the front knee, back to warrior two, other side to balance both sides or the other, right? So here we go, back into our warrior two on the other side. If you drop from your head into the body, you're accepting the body the way it is, but you're listening to it. My knee doesn't feel right. I need to move it where it does. So that's where the teacher is, you, right? Back into warrior two. Back hand down, front hand up, just a little bit of movement. Come up forward into a side angle, forearm on the front thigh. Top arm can go up and go on your hand, on your hip. Coming back up, straightening your front leg. Back hand down, front hand up, reverse triangle. And then coming back up, reaching forward. Bottom hand down, top arm goes wherever for triangle. Bending back into the knee. Back to warrior two, contain. Drop the arms and then come out of it to move. So you can do your swings. Just loosen it up. All right, and shake it out. And a lot of times I do introduce the same postures over and over, but there's always a different experience every time. And when we think about pre-pose, again, we're thinking about the base. We're standing on one leg, but it has this effect of going up. So we even have to try to find a balance from our ankles, from the outside in, all the way up to our hips, chest, and up to the sky. So lifting your foot, you can just have your foot off to the side like that. But tree pose, it's very contained. Containment don't work for you right now, then you do your moving tree. We did this last week, so you choose. If you're doing just one side, go ahead and do the other side. Perhaps you're doing a standing one and a moving one. You're the boss. Slowly come out of it or slow down, and voila, we've rewoken the homeostasis in our body. Now let's come down to the floor. Grab your strap if you have it. We're going to do it on the floor all the way on our back versus on sitting. So just make sure you have your strap, and when you get all the way to the floor, have your knees bent, please, if you like. Taking the strap underneath the right foot. Now, if you don't have a strap, just interlace behind your right thigh. Make some handles and extend that leg up to the ceiling. So we're just doing a little bit more of a stretching right now, right? So pulling on the strap just enough where you find enough of a stretch in the back, but you're not shaking and forcing something that shouldn't go. We don't want to be hurting ourselves. So finding a nice stretch here and just breathe into it. So even though we're holding a stagnant pose, the breath is moving unless you're holding it. So I recommend not holding your breath if you can. Taking both straps into the right hand and open that leg to the right. So different stretch. Coming back to center. And then you can take the strap into the left hand, straighten the left leg, and drop the leg over to the left. So you're getting the outside of that leg. You go into the stagnant pose, but your breath is moving. Balance. Coming back to center, bend the knee, and extend both legs to the floor. And just notice if you feel like your right leg is longer than your left. And then let's do the other side. Strap under the left foot, straighten the leg up towards the ceiling, make some handles. You got it. You know what to do. And then taking the strap into the left hand and opening up that leg to the left. Now, what you do with your right leg, your body will tell you. If you need to open the knee, go for it. And then coming back to center, straps into your right hand, extend your right leg, sorry, and take the left leg over to the right. So just going in the opposite direction. Just balancing one side to the other. And then slowly coming back to center. You can release the strap. Both knees into your chest, hug them close. And then close your eyes. And you're hugging in the core where the inner fire is, right? The fire is at what do you want to call it? It's as big as you want it to be, but it's contained. It's not smothering away. It's not overpowering. It's not too hot. It's not cold. It's just the right temperature in your core. And bringing your feet down. Let's go ahead and extend the legs so you keep your knees bent. Nice comfy spot on your back. In sort of a Shavasana pose, the final pose of the sequence. And as you settle into the pose, maybe you need to put a blanket over your core because you're feeling that chill. You're too far from the fire, and you just need a little bit of something to contain the fire inside. And as you settle into your posture and your eyes are either slightly gazing or closed, we revisit the fire, the campfire. There is something about being at a campfire. Somebody may not be able to describe it. but it's a feeling. You feel it in your bones, you feel it in your muscles relax, you feel it in your nervous system. It's just a beautiful place to be in nature and a circle of friends and families and animals. There's so much joy, gratitude. And as we stare at the fire, we daydream to ignite our imagination for new ideas, new possibilities. Sit with your fire for a moment and enjoy it. You can start to wiggle some toes and fingers if you like. You can move your body in any way, extend the arms overhead, giving yourself a full body stretch. You have lifted yourself off the log, and it's time to start making our way from the fire. But we still have our inner fire as we come up, bending the knees, rolling onto one side, pausing for a moment, no rush, and pushing yourself up to your first posture, your comfortable seat, whatever that may be. And we sit up nice and tall if you like. And placing one hand on the chest, the other hand on top. We tapped into the heart center with our flower, resuming your potential. And we feel the fire within our body that brings us joy. Maybe you got some new insight. Maybe you didn't. All is welcome. This honor the heart space where we hold the compassion for ourselves and others. Hands into prayer. And you can bow to yourself to seal your amazing practice. Coming out up, open up your eyes. Namaste.